Hello and welcome to InfoLive.tv interview with Professor Ilan Greilsammer from Bar Ilán University.
Yes.
So, Professor, we would like to have your opinion about two subjects which are sometimes considered connected, but we'll start with the first one, which is more of a foreign policy question. We've seen the invitation of President Putin's to Hamás leader to come to Moscow. It's been something which has been done without the quartet being being asked upon. And what do you think motivated such a decision from on behalf of President Putin to do so? And we've seen also that France has been supporting this invitation. Do you think there's something connected about it, or is it something which is we should be afraid of in Israel?
Well, first of all, I think that the invitation of the leaders of the Hamás to Moscow has been a tremendous surprise in Israel. I do believe that Israeli leaders thought that this unanimity of the quartet to ask Hamás to recognize Israel, to stop any violent action against Israeli civilians, and also to recognize former agreements between the Palestinian Authority and Israel, we thought that these conditions would continue for some time at least. I mean, some weeks or some months. And so it was really a very big surprise in Israel to learn that President Putin has disrupted this course of events and invited the Hamás. And of course, our government was in a very bad mood against that. And what we hope, and I think that that's what Ehud Olmert hopes, is that other countries will not follow the example of Russia and will not invite the Hamas leaders, because if, let's say, for example, Turkey or some other important country in Europe or elsewhere invites the Hamas leaders, so it is as if some countries would give their agreement to recognize Hamas as a legitimate authority.
Yes.
And that's something against which Israel wants to react. Concerning the reasons of such a step of Putin, I think that there is a very large agreement that his main motivation is not to follow the leadership of the United States, and by this way to come back maybe in the Middle East conflict and to play some role in the future.
Okay. Now we're going to talk a bit more about internal policy in Israel, and of course we're in a pre-elective period. We've seen that the first official debates and conferences about the new election have started through the weekend, especially with Kadima's conference in Petah Tikva. How would you consider the new, let's say, competition between the different opinions in the different political parties? Do you think maybe it's more of today of a social theme around which they will compete, or is it still also security matters and foreign policy?
I do believe that internal matters are closely linked to foreign matters and foreign policy. In fact, the result of the Palestinian elections has been that the Hamas is in power now in the territories. So all the Zionist parties, at least the Labour Party, the Kadima, and the Likud, as I see it in the very last days, have exactly the same position concerning the Hamas. If the Hamas doesn't do what we wait from him, so there will be no negotiation, there will be no acceptation of the new Palestinian government. So with this unanimity of the Israeli parties, what remains is the social field. What remains for the Israeli parties is to compare their plans concerning the fight against poverty, the reduction of the gap between the rich and the poor in Israel. So what I believe we will see in the very near future is centering on social problems, on poverty problems in Israel, and each party, each major party, will present his economic plan, and the public will judge. I was very much interested by the plan submitted by the Labour Party expert on social and economic problems, Professor Braverman, the former president of Beersheba University. It's a very interesting plan, and especially, I would say, with a content which can be qualified as social democrat. We will see now what is the program of the Kadima and of the Likud, and of course we will know in which direction the next government will act.
So, just one little question about the Labour Party exactly, because you tell us Professor Braverman has a more social democrat-oriented program. Still, we heard from Amir Peretz some declarations which might sound like very much declarations of, let's say, more left-wing than social democracy.
Yes. I think it represents various trends within the Labour Party. Of course, it's obvious that the former head of the Histadrut, Amir Peretz, is probably more radical than other personalities of the party, because Braverman, for example, spoke about Tony Blair as an example, and even he gave the name of Clinton. So this is not very radical, this is not very leftist. What I believe is that within the Labour Party coexist these different trends, and we will see which trend will be probably the one which will succeed.
Professor Greilsammer, I thank you for your intervention, and thank you very much for following the InfoLive TV debate and interview.